All right. Well, you have all landed at the October meeting of the 34th District Democrats. I'm going to now call the meeting to order. For those of you just joining us, you just saw Derek Bellegarde from the Chief Seattle Club. Rachel really wanted to bring in a program in October that spoke to homelessness, which is obviously one of our big issues in the city and so many cities around the country. Also, I want to take a moment to thank Rachel for stepping in for me last month. I had the meeting fully planned out, but when the day came, I just did not feel like I could get through a couple-hour meeting after having surgery the day before. So Rachel, thank you. I'm very thankful always to have board members who, are capable and can step up when I need help. And Rachel is one of those I can always rely on. So thanks again. Normally, kind of as I normally do in the beginning of our meetings, I like to kind of reflect on what's been going on in the world. And, I do this mostly to kind of light a fire underneath you, to inspire you to act, to inspire you to act, to kind of get you engaged and get you moving and stepping up to help us out to actually, go beyond the monthly meeting and, raise your hand and get involved. And obviously that hasn't been helping too much recently. So I'm going to keep trying, but I have to be honest, last month, I've been just kind of disappointed in the amount of engagement in the organization. You guys, I was looking through the folks who are on. You guys are some of our regulars, and thank you so much for being regulars. But we need to get more folks, in and engaged again, and I'm really struggling to figure out ways to do that. We have great programming. We're doing canvases every weekend for this election. I'm trying to make good meetings that are fun to attend, and it's just been a struggle. So I have a couple of things later on in my script to speak to some examples of ways that you can kind of do a little bit to get involved, but also talk to your friends, your neighbors, your people who are political minded, and evangelize our group. We want to have a vibrant group, and it's not just me, it's not the board, it's all of us who have to kind of build that group. So please help me out and do that. We actually had a canvas this past Saturday with guests Lorena Gonzalez, Teresa Mosqueda, and Hamdi Mohammed. And we had exactly one volunteer and one PCO attend to pick up their literature. That's it. Our Burien canvases had fared a little bit better, but still, the participation has been super low. So I have to ask, what's going on? Is it that this is a local election? Is it COVID? Is it because we're on Zoom and, we all just want to get back together in a room? Is it our candidates? I know it's been really, really tough on everyone. And I know it's hard to be engaged from behind a camera. And you're here with me today, so I have hope for you. I have hope that all of you can find some way to engage, some way that you feel comfortable with and that you have time for. Otherwise, why are we doing this? Why am I spending my time? Let's make this more worthwhile for all of us. I know it sounds really bleak, and I don't mean to be bleak, but I just want more, and I'm relying on you guys to bring more. Thank you for letting me rant. One thing I want to share is I mentioned earlier this year we had a technical tool migration that took all of our data about all of you all and moved it to a new system. That kind of made it very hard for us to get our data. We now have our data, and all those forms that 553 people filled out to join the organization, I now have that data because many of you checked off that you'd like to be involved in certain things. So we're currently, as a board, those chairs that are responsible for some of the committees, they may be reaching out to you, asking you to get involved in the committee that you said you might be interested in. So please take those calls, take those emails, and step on in. The water is nice and warm. We all would love to have you. So again, thank you for getting involved, getting more involved. And if you're figuring out what you're not really sure what you want to do, let me know. Sarah will post my email in the chat. I'm more than happy to kind of share all the different opportunities we have. Sometimes the opportunities are like just an hour or two here or there, or a committee that might be a monthly thing, all across the gamut, lots and lots of different opportunities to be involved. So let me know. I'm happy to talk about what we do and get you psyched about getting involved. I will take another 30 seconds to shout out to the Washington Democrats, many other organizations who are also really heavily engaged in the litigation that's starting to take place in our state. Republican activists are filing lawsuits across the state demanding Arizona-style audits of the 2020 election. Yes, folks, the 2020 election. People are still fussing about this. The nightmare is not over. So if you want to read about that, Sarah's going to place a link in the chat. It's a good, it's a pretty quick recap of what the state is doing, and it's kind of horrific. So get to know that detail. Lastly, please also stay in tune with what's going on outside of Washington. I know we're really locally focused right now because we're in the middle of an election cycle, but you know what? Next year is the midterms. And Texas is not the only place where we're seeing really troubling changes. So if you have any apathy this year, we're going to all start bracing up to lose the Senate next year, to lose the House, and a whole slew of rights along with it. So again, get involved. Katie, I totally get you. I know you are involved in other, activist organizations, and that's awesome. And keep doing that. I want to promote that as well. Absolutely. 2024 is already kind of nipping at our heels as well. The former president continues his slow roll to a coup. So please stay engaged there as well, because in just a couple of years we might have him again. So I know that's a very delightful thought for everyone. All right, without further ado, Rachel, could you share our land acknowledgement?
Sure. Thank you, Carla. On behalf of the 34th LD Democrats, I acknowledge the land on which we stand today as the traditional home of the Coast Salish and Duwamish people, the traditional home of all tribes and bands within the Suquamish, Tulalip, Snoqualmie, and Muckleshoot nations. Without them, we would not have access to this gathering or to this dialogue. I ask that we take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers of this land on which we live and work, who are still here.
All right, thank you, Rachel. All right, so I think we have a few folks on tonight. Representative Fitzgibbon, would you like to say a few words?
Thanks. Nothing to say. Just thanks for everybody for coming out tonight and for working so hard for victory this November.
Cool. Absolutely. Joe's actually saying that because I just fussed at everyone. Sorry. And thank you, Joe. Representative Cody, would you like to say anything tonight?
Joe said it all.
Cool. Ditto. Got it. And King County Conservation, Chris Porter. Got anything to say tonight?
Briefly, if you have mason bees, it's time to bring them in. And if the leaves are on the ground, leave them because the birds, bees, butterflies, and bugs need them. That's all.
Awesome. Tip of the day. Thank you, Chris. So we don't have a super packed agenda. Are there any candidates other than our school board candidates, which we'll get to in a moment? Any other candidates on? I think I see, oh, Norman, would you like to say anything?
Hello, Chairwoman. Carla, nice to see you all. Camera. Yep, I'm excited. It's been pretty busy, the campaign so far. I'm taking a unique approach. I hired a young campaign manager from the East Side. She's recently graduated of Washington State University. And I met her when she was in the East Side Youth in Government program, which is a program where young people of color on the East Side learn about the inner workings of government. And they do field trips down in Olympia. And my friend Michelle Williams-Clark organized it over in Bellevue. So she asked me to be an adult mentor, and I was able to now reach out and hire an alum of that program as my campaign manager. So I'm excited to work with her and help her learn about politics and Washington State. And thank you all for doing what you do, especially the executive board, Carla and Rachel.
Thank you. Thanks, Norman. All right, I think aside from our school board, I think there are no other candidates on tonight, so I'll go ahead and keep moving along. Let's see here. So next up is my Speak Up survey. This month, I'm going to try something a little different so we can get a little bit more data, a little bit more input. I'm going to pop up the poll here inside Zoom for those of you who are watching and able to vote in Zoom. What I'm looking for tonight is about our December meeting. The question is, how should we celebrate the end of 2021? I have been worrying constantly about this topic. I have to balance kind of the financial responsibility with our fun factor. And I do respect that many of you would like to see one another again. And I am one of those. I'm a people person, and I'd love to get back into that sort of group atmosphere where we can have great conversation. But I'm concerned that we might spend in the neighborhood of $1,500 to go to the hall and then have 20 people show up. So I want to, COVID obviously is a huge concern, and sharing food and sharing spaces. And, I don't want to be hosting a super spreader event. And I really don't know when this is going to end. It's exhausting to think about it. So I really need help in making this decision. Next week, our board will make the final call, but I'd love to get some data tonight from you all. So I'm going to pop up this poll really quick, and you know how we vote. It is very fast, and you should see it. Go ahead and register your vote. If you want to give some more comments and ideas and things like that, please go ahead and do the regular Speak Up survey, which is in a Google document. And I believe that Sarah is putting that in the chat now. So I'll give you a moment or two to register your vote. Okay, got about half of you on, and I know there's a few people on that might not be in the district and guests for this evening, so that is fine. Just vote if you are in the district, please. And again, if you care to go over to the fill-in form, that's completely fine as well. We put that in the newsletter. I put that on the homepage of our website, and we'll collect the data from there as well. All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and queue up the Zoom tips while you guys are finishing up. I'll run through these really quick. Any of you needing closed caption, it is available for you in the black bar at the bottom. Please do mute yourself, keep yourself on mute. And this is important when we unmute and vote, and then please go back and mute yourself after that so that we have a nice clean meeting. raise your hand if you want to be recognized. Obviously, it's available in 2 different places. Take your pick, and it will tell you if you are raising your hand by looking at your name in the participants window. And chat, we're totally fine with any sort of chat going on tonight. It is recorded in the session, so be aware of that. I like to go through it and just make sure I didn't miss anything after the meeting. So private chat me, that's fine. You can private chat anyone or send to the group. That's there for you as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. Thanks for voting, appreciate it. Okay, interesting. Hold the meeting virtually, giving the awards at the meeting and saving the budget for a spring is definitely in the lead, fairly significantly. So great, thank you. Actually, that was awesome. Okay, moving on to the agenda. You see on the screen the proposed agenda for our meeting this evening. I did leave out one thing when I sent out the call, and you can see that it is in orange on the screen. Does anyone have issue with adding that vote around the spending of the remainder of our candidate contribution budget to the agenda? I suppose Gina will tell me I need to get a motion. So someone could do it.
I will move the approval of the agenda. This is Ann Martin.
As amended, correct?
As-
Thank you.
Yes, as amended, sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is Chris
Sarah,
Porter seconded?
and yep, Sarah, that's Ann Martin and Chris Porter. Awesome. All those in favor want to go ahead and say aye.
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 All right. Awesome. Anyone opposed? Say nay. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. We have an agenda. It is adopted. Moving on to the meeting minutes from last week, or excuse me, last month. The screen shows the minutes from our September 7th meeting. I sent these out to members on Sunday evening. Are there any corrections to our minutes? Any corrections? All right. Hearing none.
I move approval. This is Ann Martin.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm so glad you're back in town so you can make my motions.
I second, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Say nay. Okay, minutes are approved. Thank you. Moving on to the budget. All right. Julie Whitaker, our treasurer, will now present the monthly treasurer's report, which is on screen for you to review. Julie.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay.
You sound great. Thank you.
Thank you. Our beginning balance was $28,560.94. Our income from memberships, Change Makes Sense, t-shirt sales, and we also had refunds of the Reunion Picnic caterer and the park space. That totaled $2,271.51. Our expenses were $4,438.66. This included our normal bank fees, deputy treasurer fees, Zoom, closed captioning, and then it also included the sample ballots and those costs involved with those events and your NGP. Okay, our ending balance was $26,393.79. So I'm urging everyone because there is a huge expense in the sample ballots and the campaign expenses to get out there and do your jobs, please, because we really need to do this if we want to keep the country going in the right direction. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Julie. Julie brings up a good point. We spend a good chunk of money on sample ballots, and I don't even want to think that any of them are going in the landfill or even the recycle bin. So please use the sample ballots if you're a PCO. I think we did a good job picking a good number to print. They're pretty cool. I'll show these a little more later. They're being distributed to PCOs, and we've been using them like crazy in Burien. So please use those guys and walk your neighborhoods. All right, membership. We're up to 553. We're even getting had a couple of members join the last month, even this late in the year. So thank you, new members. And lastly, Change Makes Sense. That's just our normal. Hey, do you want to make a a small donation to kick in to help us? That is the link there, and Sarah will put that in the chat. All right, some announcements. I'm looking for, here's where you can actually help us out. I'm looking for 2 to 3 volunteers to participate in a Zoom call with Ann Martin, who is leading our awards committee. We do give 7, or we have the option to give about 7 annual awards every year. And we need people to not only nominate people, but also to judge them. And I believe Ann would agree that it's not a big amount of time, and we'd love to have some newer members join this. I know Ann has done this probably for many years, and I know Les Trail and probably Steve Butts and some of the other folks that are our super regulars would love to have some company. So if you're interested in that, email me and I'll get you to the right person. This work will be happening in mid to late November, and it is not a huge commitment of time. So please think of doing that. The next opportunity is we're looking for a couple of people to work on our bylaws committee. Sarah Koch, who's working behind me with all the chat links for you, is the bylaws and rules chair, and she is looking for a few folks to sit in on the bylaws committee. We do also review the endorsements rules, which that might be something you're interested in this cycle. So again, I don't look at this as being a huge commitment. We'd love to have 3 or 4 folks step up to work on that, and all the work will be done in March. The third way to step up is I am looking for a very specific thing that is happening this week. So it has to happen this week. Steve Butts, Colleen, Sarah Smith, we're all delivering these packets of these awesome sample ballots to PCOs this week. And the packets are all ready to go. And I have 2 boxes that I would like to find 2 people to do. This would be delivering in West Seattle. It's 9 packets, so 9 houses. You can probably do it in an hour or 2 on an afternoon, really any time of day. The key is we've got to get this done by Saturday, or at least at the latest on Saturday, so that our PCOs can begin to do their work. So again, email me if you're interested in helping with this. What happens is if we don't get volunteers, those of us who do everything else have to do that too. So
Madam Chair?
Step up. Yes.
Madam Chair, this is Chris. I can do the package deliveries on Saturday. My job is such that I could do it on Saturday, and
Awesome.
count me in on the awards committee, which I think I was going to do anyway.
Okay, awesome. Great. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. And again, you can either email me or put your name in the chat, and we will come find you. Again, quick thing you can do to help. Appreciate it. All right, Nick will talk a little bit about this more toward the end of the meeting. But I can't let the opportunity pass without encouraging everyone to take part in canvassing, phone banking, text banking. All the campaigns are actually actively doing phone banking and text banking at this point. So if you don't want to canvass, sign up on that sheet and I will get you to someone who can put you to work. Sarah's going to put this link in the chat as well. It's our sign up for GOTV. So thank you again for doing that. I touched on this earlier in the survey, but I'll layer into the question that we are still unsure of when we can get back in person in regular meetings. We originally had planned to do a end of year holiday soiree at the hall, and that would lead us into in-person meetings again. I don't think we're there yet, and I'm sorry to have to say that. I am also looking into any requirements that we need to do to adhere to, any state requirements or county requirements or recommendations on hybrid meetings. So I've got to get through that. And, we have new locations identified across the district for our meetings. It's just that don't feel great about it yet. I want to be responsible. I want to be cautious as to how this, how it's done, when it's done, and what it impacts. So we just need to be cognizant of the costs as well of in-person meetings. And I want to be sure that we have enough people who are comfortable with it to book that cost. So right now, I don't think it's prudent to spend our funds on meeting space until we get a little further on with this pandemic. Again, I'm sorry to do this, but I just think it's the right thing to do at this time. We will make the decision, as I mentioned, about the December meeting at our board meeting next week, and we'll let you know in an email, the weekly email, when we've made that call. And thanks for understanding and being patient. We have lost 2 key board members to resignations. I've mentioned this, I think we mentioned this last month, I'll say it again. Jordan Crawley and Janine Anzalota have resigned. This means we're actively recruiting for the state party rep, non-binary or female role. We are also recruiting for the Platform and Legislative Action Committee chair role, and of course, the second vice chair role. And I have detailed role descriptions. I can give you all the ins and outs of what these roles entail. I can hook you up with people who've done them before. Whatever you need, if you are even slightly interested, please, send me an email and I'll set up some time to chat about it. Gotta have folks fill these positions to be able to do everything we want to do. So thank you for that. Our next board meeting is
Hey, Carla, a couple of questions. I think Bunny, did you have your hand up?
oh, thank you, Rachel. Yes.
Yes, I did, but then she said to send her an email. I wanted to let her know that Dr. Roxanne Thayer is extremely interested in serving as the state party rep and replacing Janine.
Okay, great.
So you've got somebody who's ready, willing, and able.
Okay, fantastic.
And I'll send
And I know Roxanne quite well as well, so I will send her a note. Thank you, Bunny.
And she asked me to apologize. She is stuck between here and Oregon, right
Oh.
now on I-5.
Oh, that sounds terrible. Okay,
And Carla, I had a question too.
okay.
So I know for the state party rep, there are some very specific criteria, non-binary or female for that specific seat. Is there a gender indication for the second vice chair? I have heard
No.
differing things about that. So either anyone. can be the second vice chair.
Correct.
Okay, great, thank you.
And Nancy, I see your question. I know how to get in touch with you. I'm happy to chat with you at some point. That's great. Look at all these people putting in chats. I love it. Thank you. Awesome. Anybody, any other hands? Okay, Rachel, thank you for checking the hands for me. Appreciate
Sure,
that.
sure.
Very helpful. Okay, next board meeting is next Wednesday. Again, this is our normal monthly board meeting. We start at 6:30. If you want the Zoom link, this is an open meeting. If anybody wants to participate, just let me know. Our next membership meeting will be held on Wednesday, November 10th. Rachel is already cooking up another great pre-meeting program, so do plan to join us early. And boy, the election will be over. I will be very excited at that point. I'm happy for this, the last 3 weeks here. I'm hearing that we will have, from Rachel, I'm hearing that we'll have an environmentally focused program, so that should be great. And stay tuned for more details on that as we get through the month. You can go ahead and register for the November meeting. Sarah's going to put a link in the chat for that. And that is all of my announcements. All right. Now, as I said earlier, ballots dropped today. Fantastic, super excited. This is it. It's time to get out the vote. There's no one better than our PCO chair, Nick Bonazza, to share with you our plans to do just that. I believe that we also have a couple new PCOs to appoint. So Nick, you want to take it over?
Yes, thank you. I'll start off with the PCO appointments. Tonight, I have the honor of presenting 2 prospective PCO precinct committee officers for PCO vote. Nancy and Sam, please turn on your video and sound. And I'll start off with Nancy. Nancy Kick, Burien 341057. Please say a few words about yourself and why you decided to become a PCO.
Oh, hi, thanks. So I'm Nancy Kick. Like Nick said, I've lived in Burien for about little over 7 years now, and have become involved in local city council and school board elections, and started doing a lot of walking around, knocking on doors, and realized that there's a formal purpose for this. And also props to Annie Phillips, who's been talking to me about being a PCO probably for 5 of the 7 years that I've been here. But you know, it's really been rewarding to talk to our neighbors. And I know it's intimidating. It was intimidating for me as well. But I think that I've had 99% at least polite, if not really enthusiastic response to talking to people. And so I feel like it's a really good way to get more people involved, get more people voting, and make sure that Burien doesn't lose our blue. I don't know if it's a wave, but we've worked really hard. And so it's really important to me that we stay blue.
Thank you, thanks. Sam Mendez, Burien 341059. Say a few words about yourself and why you became or interested in becoming a PCO.
Sure, thanks, Nick. It was great to meet you in person and a number of others at last Saturday's event. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Sam Mendez. I'm 34. My fiance and I actually just moved to Burien about a year ago. First-time homeowners here in Seahurst. We've lived in Seattle for about 10 years. I'm originally from the Bay Area. I went to UC Santa Cruz for college, went to Washington School of Law for law school. So that was, I graduated 2014. And I work for state government. I work at the Healthcare Authority. I serve on 2 boards here. I serve on the board for Hospitality House, just down the street, actually. And then also for the Children's Campaign Fund, which is a statewide political action committee. So I've been a lifelong Democrat. I actually literally started paying attention to politics when I was in 8th grade in the year 2000, when a certain George W. Bush was, elected president. And yeah, and I paid attention ever since. I was sort of briefly involved here and there. When I was renting, kind of moved around a few different places in Seattle. So briefly involved with the 43rd and a little bit with the 37th, but really not too much. So now that we own a home and are sort of settled in, I'm looking forward to knocking on doors and encouraging people to vote and getting to know all of you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. Thanks, Nancy. I'm going to read the oath now, and after that, I'll ask the chair for a motion to appoint. So, are you willing to serve as a Democratic Precinct Committee officer or acting precinct committee officer until December 1st, 2022? And recognize that it's your responsibility to know the boundaries of your precinct and be familiar with its residents and registered voters. Also, do you understand that your duties include providing voters with campaign material for endorsed candidates prior to each primary and general election, GOTV, getting out the vote activities, new voter registration? And before I ask for this motion to appoint, please answer this one question. Are you a Democrat?
Yes.
All right, great. May I have Chair, may I have a motion to appoint these two PCOs?
Move appointment, that's Ann Martin.
Chris
I
Porter,
second.
second.
Okay.
Okay, Sarah, did you get that? Ann Martin, Chris Porter.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Please say nay.
Okay.
All right, the ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, new PCOs.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Sam actually won a pair of tickets to a Sounders game that candidate Hugo Garcia put up to people who would come out and canvass. So Sam won the tickets last Saturday. So hopefully that was fun, even though it was chilly.
It was. Thanks for that. That was really great. The last goal at the very end of the game was really exciting. So.
Awesome. Hugo's a big sports fan and has been using his Seahawks tickets and his Sounders ticket as promotion to get people to sign up. So. All right.
And fish, soup.
Okay, Carla, I'll continue my PCO report if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Get back to the slides.
All right. For the first time, the 34th printed separate sample ballots specific to what's on the ballot for Burien this year, which has been well received by PCOs and voters. The lines are clearly drawn in these races for city council with Democratic candidate signs stolen, defaced, and other organized disinformation campaigns going on in Burien. We've held canvassing events in Seattle and this past on October 9th and 4 in Burien, with another 3 scheduled in Burien this month on the 16th, this Saturday, the 23rd, and the 30th. Our 4 endorsed candidates for the Burien City Council are participating, bringing volunteers, speaking to PCOs, and also asking us, the 34th, who any of those PCOs would like to walk with the candidate in their particular precinct. And also too, we've had some 34th LD volunteers canvassing in empty precincts that we have in Burien. And also there's been, we've also had some PCOs taken on more responsibility in Burien with canvassing in empty precincts. We've drawn turfs and provided lists for uncovered precincts. Candidates, PCOs, and volunteers have been door knocking with these lists, and a special thanks to PCOs and the 34 members who volunteered. We aren't asking anyone to take on an entire precinct of 300 voters plus alone, although some have done this. Uncovered precincts are broken up into turfs of approximately 20 to 35 addresses. Volunteers that have never canvassed are matched up with experienced canvassers. So please join us on any Saturday this month or contact me to volunteer on a different way. We're very close to achieving full coverage in Burien. We've got 35 precincts in Burien, and so far we've got, of course, 20 PCOs working their precincts. And so far we're working on 4 other precincts that we've given to volunteers and cut turfs in those. So that's 4 precincts in Burien that did not have a PCO and is now covered. So GOTV lists for November elections are out, and the response has been good across the board. In many of my conversations with PCOs, I'm hearing an understanding of the importance of local races, of making sure our neighbors stay engaged, and a commitment to making the rounds. Our precincts, our LDs, our country, our county, our state, we need a strong voter turnout to support the Democratic platform. I continue to schedule small groups of PCOs to discuss voter turnout in their precincts and to reach out to others for their insights, and look forward to bringing every interested PCO into a conversation. Priorities for PCOs between now and the November election and in preparation for 2022. Build our base, support our endorsed candidates, recruit PCOs and volunteers, register voters. Thank you. And any questions, you all know how to get a hold of me. If you need help, PCOs in your precincts, let me know. If you would like to volunteer in other precincts, like I say, we've got abbreviated turfs ready for you. Let me know. And see you Saturday. Thank you.
All right, great. Sorry, our next guest is texting me. It's running a little bit behind. Okay, thank you, Nick. Folks, even if you're not a PCO, you can help. This is not just for PCOs. Put those comfy shoes on and get your smartphone out and you're ready to roll. Sarah Smith in our chat and Colleen actually paired up. Sarah had never canvassed before. She was new at it. She did it, and I think she had a good time. So it was a good experience. It's not scary stuff. We have these great materials that we have made. Thank you to Steve Butts. Steve and I kind of pair, and I do the writing and he does the design on these materials. I don't know if anybody's looking at my camera, but here's our non-Burien piece. There is you can put a rubber band on it. So if you want to lip drop, if you're not comfortable knocking doors, understandable. You can use that rubber band and just hang that on the doorbell. I mean, on the doorknob. It works really nicely. It also has, for PCOs, it has a space on the back of the brochure where you can actually write a note to your neighbor. I actually bought a self-inking stamp. So it's really fast, and I just take all of my materials and just stamp them, and it has my contact information on there. They know that, I have my address here so that they know they're being contacted by a neighbor, and it works out really well. So it's fun time. We have to do it twice a year, and you can it's great exercise. You can make it an exercise day too. So please sign up to help us out. Again, was in the chat, the link to sign up for any type of election volunteer. All right, so I'm going to switch gears and put our spotlight on. Oh, sorry, let me get through Nick here. Get our candidate spotlight back out. We have a couple of Seattle School Board candidates tonight. Earlier, last month we endorsed Brandon Hersey, position 7. He's the only school board candidate that actually is in our district, just by a little bit. And tonight we have a couple of candidates seeking positions 4 and 5. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing Michelle on here this evening, so I think we're only going to have 2. which is totally fine. But our bylaws, just a reminder that our bylaws and endorsement rules state that we only endorse candidates within our district. So these candidates are here only to share their story as we all prepare to vote in the coming days. And we are all voting for all school board candidates. So ladies, you'll have 2 or 3 minutes. No timers, don't be stressed out about that. First, we'll start with Vivian. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you're running.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great.
Okay, good. Hi, good evening, 34th District Democrats. I'm Vivian Song Moritz, and I'm running to be your next school board director in District 4. I'm honored to have received 60% of the votes in my district primary, and I will be appearing on your ballots in the general election, and I hope that I can earn your vote. Public education has transformed my life. I am a daughter of immigrants from Taiwan and Brazil. I started school as an English as a second language student, and it was a public school teacher that identified my hearing disability and got me the support that I needed to fulfill my potential. My family takes great pride that I am the first woman in my family to graduate from college. Today, I am a mom to 4 kids, current and future Seattle Public School students. I have over 15 years of professional experience in finance and operations, and I have the skills that ensure that our $1 billion budget works better and equitably. As a PTA president and member of our superintendent's parent advisory council, I have been working closely with community for greater opportunities and outcomes for all of our students, the same opportunities that were given to me, and I'm ready to take this to the next level. I met recently with Kirsten. She's a PTA leader at Lafayette Elementary School in North Admiral. And whereas schools in other areas of Seattle have dropped in their enrollment during the pandemic, Lafayette has actually expanded enrollment. And their school is scrambling to hire teachers. They're cramming more than 30 students in a classroom. And this is in the midst of a pandemic when social distancing is a key mitigation strategy. And our elementary school children are still unvaccinated. I've been speaking with parent leaders at the Center School, a high school in downtown Seattle that draws students from all over the city, including West Seattle. And with the bridge closure, this has significantly hampered students and staff's ability to go to and from school, to and from work. And as a school board director, I would use my position to pressure our city leaders to act with more urgency and engage our district in identifying temporary solutions to these operational issues that are impacting our students' ability to learn and thrive. And of course, we have large-scale, long-term systemic issues that need to be tackled. Inequitable funding for public schools, systemic racism in the school to prison pipeline. There's no shortage of work, and I believe that I have the lived and learned experiences that our district needs. As my personal history reflects, I'm not intimidated by hard work and challenge, and I really see no better mission than serving our 51,000 students, 6,000 staff members, and our greater Seattle community. Organizations and leaders that agree and have endorsed me include MLK Labor Council, The Stranger, progressive organizations like One America Votes and Fuse Washington Progressive Voters Guide, over 15 former and current elected Democratic leaders in our city, county, and state office, including 10 former school board directors, King County Democrats, King County Young Democrats, and the 32nd, 36th, 37th, 43rd, and 46th District Democrats. I'd be honored to have your support. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Vivian. All right, Laura Marie Rivera, would you like to unmute and say a few words?
Sure, hi. My name is Laura Marie Rivera. I am not a politician. I'm a parent and an educator, and I'm proud to have run my campaign on a shoestring budget and advanced to the general election. I am really happy to be here, and I really appreciate the efforts that each of you have put into our elections. It's been a real education getting to participate in this process and see the work going on behind the scenes. I'm grateful for it, and thank you. As for me, I have 4 students in our Seattle Public Schools from first grade to high school, and I'm deeply committed to providing the best possible education, regardless of race, gender, economics, abilities, zip code, first language, and everything else. Each student is coming to us with different strengths and challenges and interests and goals. We need to increase access to our programs and make sure that each student throughout the district will be able to benefit and get the services that they need. Our programs need to be more inclusive and they need to be much more equitable. I'm the only candidate in my race that's an educator. I began teaching over 30 years ago when I was still in school myself. I've taught from kindergarten to UW. These years of teaching helped to inform my approach to reaching students and certainly in my understanding of the issues of our educators. We need to partner with them and work with them for the best solutions. I'm a proud union member for unions. I joined the first when I was still in school, and I fully support the unions because the safety and well-being of our teachers and staff is directly related to how they can do their very important job. I used my education to make it all the way to the Broadway stage, and it was a dream come true. But all too often, the school focus is only on reading and writing and test scores, but there's so much more that goes into a child's education. It's the school board's job to approve the budget and adopt curriculum, and I intend to keep the whole child in mind. As a family that benefits from special education, I know just how difficult it can be to identify and access those services. I'm so glad that my opponent got the attention and care that she needed, and I want to make sure that all of our students have that opportunity. These are our students that are furthest from educational justice, and we need to acknowledge them and serve them and help them. We've got over 50,000 students in Seattle Public Schools, and that means 50,000 futures. We must make them count. If it takes a little effort or imagination to make these students successful, then we have to do it. This is my vision for Seattle Public Schools, and as the Seattle Times said in their endorsement, Rivera is the best choice. I'm Laura Marie Rivera, and I really appreciate you all having me here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both for taking the time out of your busy campaigns, you know that you're running to meet with us here at the 34th. Best of luck to both of you in these last few weeks before the election.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on, we actually have a special guest this evening who joined our organization for the first time earlier this year. He was referred to us by Rob Dolan of the KCDCC Executive Board. Stefan immediately jumped into the deep end of this by taking part in the KCDCC Endorsements Committee, which, if any of you have been involved, is an enormous amount of time commitment. I'd like to introduce Stefan Thomas, whose presentation will tell you about a PAC he's leading called Prosecutors Accountable to the People, which sounds pretty good to me. Stefan, could you also let us know if you'd like us to hold questions to the end of your presentation? And you are good to unmute and take it away.
Thank you. Is there a way for us to scale back so I can see everybody? Is that possible at all?
Let me do this.
Amazing.
And then you can
human beings. Thank you.
There we go.
Woo, man, I thought I was talking to a screen and that was going to be really bad. I need to find some better lighting too. Hey, look, hey folks, this is going to be very different than your typical political speech because I'm not a politician. Okay, so let me just get that out there first of all. So can y'all bear with me? I'm a human being. My lighting's all messed up because you know how it's gotten darker earlier now. And so I have to work that out. So can y'all bear with me for a minute? Are we Democrats? Because if we're not Democrats, if we're Democrats, then we can really be real with each other and do stuff like that. This is a Republican Party. I have to be all straight edge and everything, but I don't think so. Hey, how is that?
Hey, that's better.
Awesome. Can y'all see me?
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you. Hey, I'm gonna I want to first of all say thank you for inviting me, honestly, because it is 7:52 on a Wednesday, and it's about what 50-something people on this call. I mean, this is not normal, folks. I mean, normal people are not doing that. But this is democracy, and this is really what's going on. And so, I really appreciate that for you all taking the time to actually care. And I'm going to tell you my goal is to kind of give you some information that will help you to make an informed decision about this city attorney's race. Is anyone kind of like, I'm stuck on this city attorney's race? Anyone feeling who's bold enough to actually say that? I want to know, anyone willing to say that? I'm stuck. Maybe some people are stuck and maybe some people aren't, because people feel very strong on both sides. Anyone willing to say, I'm stuck on this race? I'm kind of in the middle. I've heard like about 60% of people are undecided. So The likelihood. Did somebody say something?
I said me. It's
Oh, okay, we got one person. One person came out bold.
No, I put my hand up.
Another person. Because if your guys aren't stuck, there may not be, I mean, is there really going to be a conversation that we need to really have? Because if you all are not stuck, then I don't want to tell you about things that you don't need to know. That would be a waste of all of our time. So I got a couple hands up.
I would be interested
I'm
in
seeing
this.
people are interested in this.
Yes.
And I'm just like, are you interested? Because listen, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm a geek on this subject matter. I'm a total geek. Okay. And I will talk folks' ear off, and I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not a politician. I'm just a guy who happens to like love this subject matter. And like this race for me is like, I'm like a kid in a candy store, because it really, really exposes these divides in our community. And we really got to talk about that as Democrats if we're going to move forward. If we're going to ignore this, then we are the dumbest people who are putting our head in the sand. And I'm telling you, that is not who my mama and daddy raised me to be. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about help you to make an informed decision. But wouldn't it be happy to know a little bit about who I am? Like, who is this guy with this energy? Who is he, and why does he have the authority to talk about these prosecutor races? And so I feel like it's only fair for me to tell you a little bit about myself, which would require me to talk for about, how long do I have, Carla? I should have asked that at the beginning.
You're good.
Okay.
We have 3 pieces of business to go after, of which I probably
I'm not going to be that long.
15 minutes. So.
But I want to, is it okay if I just tell you a little bit about myself? That way
Yes.
it'll help you to know.
Yes, please. That's why I wanted to hear.
We want to listen to you based upon what you just told us. I think that's the only fair thing to do. You know what I mean? Because, and I'm going to tell you about prosecutors a little bit, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So really, I love talking about prosecutors because no one really talks about them. Like, they're really, really hidden behind closed doors. And I'm going to tell you that because I am a former prosecutor, and I was on Dan Satterberg's executive team for 2 years. And I'll tell more details about how I got there. But I really, really do know this whole game real thoroughly. And when you think about prosecutors, and this conversation we're having right now is really about what really keeps us safe. And prosecutors have this tremendous amount of power with this thing called discretion, right? It really means there's a lot of laws on the books, but someone has to decide when and where they're going to be applied to. And I say this to folks all the time: police officers take you to jail, prosecutors send you to prison. Those are 2 totally different things. And so we spend a lot of time talking about jail and how things are going on, and that, police to jail interaction, extremely important. But what happens when you go to jail? What's the process after that? Well, that's where the prosecutors take over. And we have this thing called discretion. So once a police officer brings you to jail or refers a case to us, we have a decision to make. Do we want to charge this as a crime, or do we not want to charge this as a crime? And if we do charge this as a crime, to what degree? Is it murder in the first degree? Is it aggravated murder? Back in the day, including Dan Satterberg, they chose the death penalty. We had that decision. Do you die or not die? Was a decision made in the hands of a prosecutor. Come on, folks. As Democrats, we got to care about this. And I'll tell you about why I know who the Democratic Party is, exactly where my roots come from. You'll know I'm speaking to family when I speak to y'all folks. Now, so this discretion thing, right? They get to decide, right? What's a crime, what's not a crime, which means they decide what's justice, like what our values are, what's safety, who's a criminal, not a criminal, right? Are we gonna focus on this neighborhood or that neighborhood? What's the strategy? What's the plan? What's the tactic? These are the people who make these decisions. And who have these folks been? You guys let a Republican, hey, he was a good Republican. I'm not saying he was a bad Republican, but he was a Republican nonetheless. Norm Mailing was the prosecutor for how many years? 30 years? 30 years? A Republican held the seat, held that much power in this city for 30 years. And then his predecessor, the person who became his successor, Dan Satterberg, also a Republican. Come on, folks. Why are you so comfortable allowing Republicans to have this position? We really need to have this conversation as the Democratic Party, right? Who's been in the party since the 90s? Hey, I've been in the party since the 80s, okay? Who's been in the party? I've seen some hands up. If you've been in the party since the 80s and 90s, you my people. So let me tell you, I told you a little bit about prosecutors. Now let me tell you about myself, okay? All right, I'm gonna go back. So my parents are remarkable people. My dad is Black and my mom is white. And like really couldn't have been two more diametrically opposed people. My mom is European. She's not from, her family's German and Russian. And so, you know, one of the things we talk about all the time is one of the reasons she thinks the way that she thinks is her family never owned slaves before, right? It's a lot of white folks, and it's okay. We need to have that conversation. My aunt, right, married into my family, her family owned slaves, right? There may be people on this call, your family may have owned slaves, and that's okay. That's okay. We got to talk about that. That's a reality. And so anyway, but my mom's family never owned slaves. And they did a lot of other messed up things. We can talk about that at a later time, but they never owned slaves. American slaves is what I'm talking about. I hope you know what I mean. Europeans did a whole lot of other messed up stuff. We could talk about Belgium and the Congo at another time. But anyway, my dad is from Augusta, Georgia, small town. He is the son of a man who was incarcerated for murder at one point in time that really destroyed his family. And so that's where he come from, and that's where she comes from. And her family moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. They became professors and really lived the American dream, folks. Like they did it all. Like they they became professors and got PhDs and wrote books and like all this stuff that's great. Like it's awesome. Like when you come to America and you're white, like it's amazing things that can happen to you. And I saw it firsthand. It was super dope. But things didn't happen like that for my dad's family in the same kind of way, right? It was a little bit different for them. His mom died when she was only about 37 years old. He found her dead at the bottom of the stairs, died of an aneurysm. And now we're knowing about things that the impact of trauma and racism has on people and on your health, right? A lot of his family members were dying early, including my dad, right? Who died early. He himself died alone in his apartment. No one found him for 3 days, right? Racism actually kills people, folks. This is real business. So anyway, my parents met and married in DC doing union organizing. They were part of an organization called the League of Revolutionary Struggle. They moved to Chicago, the South Side, and that's where they had me, on the South Side of Chicago. And I was raised in this eclectic bunch of people. I mean, really a weird bunch of folks, right? It was like Jewish radicals. It was like gay folks that really didn't know what being gay was at that time, because it was still the early 80s and they were really coming out, but like everyone knew they were gay and loved them anyway. Like my parents were crazy. They helped elect Harold Washington, Chicago's first Black mayor in 1983, and then again in 87. Like my parents were heavily involved in the Jesse Jackson campaign in 84 and 88. Like my mom was the Midwest volunteer coordinator for Jesse Jackson campaign in 87, right? Like really deep in the Democratic Party, right? Like they believe crazy stuff that a Black man could be president in 1984 and 88. Like this is before Obama, right? This is like not early Shirley Chisholm, but like, come on, like Jesse Jackson being president. Like people actually believe that, and a lot of folks. And you know, it is a rainbow coalition of us. And that's where I was raised at. Like every Saturday, I go to this place called the Rainbow Coalition on the South Side of Chicago, where I was raised at. And it was like a half preaching, like half like Pentecostal rally, like half like political speech, right? But it brought us together and gave us hope. And it really taught me about like this rainbow coalition. Folks, we're not going to get there divided. Like we're only going to get there if we really come together, right? That means you're going to have to be in here with people that you disagree with. And we need to get away from this cancel culture where we can't have conversations about deep topics, folks. We got to get beyond that. We got to get beyond that as a party. We really do. So anyway, fast forward. My dad, he had this crazy notion, right, that he couldn't be married to my mom because she was white. He really said that. That's how racism impacted him, right? It said to him, hey, something's wrong with you because you're white, you're different. And so he bounced and moved to Oakland to go do his political organizing there, and left my mom and I on the South Side of Chicago. It was horrible, folks. I don't have any brothers or sisters. My mom had to work all the time. You know, but she chose, like my mom, she's so dope. I mean, she's really dope. Honestly, she's like the original white ally before she's a white ally. Like she really is not like my mom has a PhD from the University of Chicago, folks. My mom's written multiple books. You can look her up, Helen Slesrev-Jameer. You can Google her right now. That's my mom. My mom raised me in the hood. Now, okay, when I say the hood, people think like, oh, he was raised in the projects. No, folks, that's racism. That's a racist thought. If you thought that when I said I was raised in the hood, you thought I was raised in the projects, that's a racist thought. Just don't want to tell us you know that. What that means is I was raised in a real Black community. And I mean, I had all types of Black folks in my community. I mean, like teachers and doctors and like it was like our lawns were mowed and people took care of their stuff. I mean, it was a tight-knit, I mean, Miss Brown, right? She took care of me. My mom, she babysat me. She raised me when I ran out front and I was doing something she didn't want me. She called me out. That's the kind of community I lived in. And there was a lot of love in that community. But there were other things too, right? In that community as well, right? The community I lived in also, because we were segregated and separated by folks, right? We also had violence in that community. We caused harm in that community. I saw firsthand, folks. I was a firsthand eyewitness, I kid you not, to the war on drugs in Chicago. I mean, like, I'm watching it. I watched the whole thing go. And I was a kid. I didn't really know what was going down. You know what I mean? But I watched it as a child, talking about 89, 90, 91. I saw the whole thing like, man, why is that person going off? What's wrong with that person's mom? Man, she looked way different than she used to. I'm talking about, I knew it more because I knew the kids of these parents that were using drugs. That's more our aspect, right? And I saw other friends of mine selling my friends' mom's dope. I've witnessed that stuff. I know all about, and you know what? It was all of us in the early 90s, Black folks, white folks, Democrats, everyone was crying out, do something, help. And you know what they did? You know what Democrats, they jumped on board? Man, they gave us prisons, they gave us jails, they gave us more police. But we was crying out for other things too, like jobs, right? Opportunities, education, healthcare, right? We were talking about housing, but we didn't get any of that stuff, folks. We didn't get any of that, but they gave us a whole lot of law enforcement, 3 strikes, charging children as adults. These are things that Hillary Clinton, come on, talked about. She said we need to bring these kids to heal. That was racist, absolutely racist, because those are fundamentally Black children she's talking about, right? So we got to talk about this heal. We need to heal this. I'm talking about this stuff because it's a party. We got to bring this out so we can heal and move beyond, because folks, there's another party out there that has white supremacists in their party, okay? Right? Come on, Matt Shea and these people. I'm going to talk about Larry Haskell and who these prosecutors are in a minute, but come on, folks. These are white supremacists. Whatever stuff we have between us in our party, we need to work out, because there is some other folks that we need to be even more concerned about. Can you agree with me on that? I mean, come on, people, come on. Thank you. I appreciate that, because there is a real live enemy. You saw the insurrection. Come on, you saw it. Those aren't my people. I don't know if they're, hey, look, I love all people, but I don't know it. I really personally don't know anyone who was in the insurrection. I'm not saying they're all bad people. I just said I don't know anyone. There's some people out there that are doing things and believing things I don't know who they are, where they are, but it's scary to me. I want to tell you folks, it's scary, and I need to know where my people are and who we can come together with, right? Who can I join arms with right now? That's what I'm trying to ask, folks. Prosecutor, this race is just the opportunity for us to have a conversation. So anyway, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Growing up in Chicago, as an only son of a white mom in that city, that was hard, man. And I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of. And the reality is that when you grew up in the neighborhood I grew up in, to join different organizations and to be part of different cliques and crews and stuff like that, that's very, very normal, right? If I grew up in the suburbs, I probably would have been on a lacrosse team, you know what I mean? Or I would have been on a swim club or something like that. But because in my neighborhood, you know, the organization, it was frowned on upon a lot of people. But it was really us coming together and clicking and saying, you know, we got to stay together. We got to protect one another. We got to watch out for one another. And in the midst of that, people that we hung around with did a lot of bad stuff. Some of them shot at people. Some of them sold drugs. Some of them taught us all types of ridiculous things about relationships with women. Oh my God, we learned ridiculous stuff. Toxic masculinity was like amazing to folks, right? And so I say that honestly because that means that when you grow up in that environment, you got work to do and you have to understand, why is it like this? What are the complexities, individual and socially, right? I got to think about it myself. Things I learned, I need to relearn, but also understand the impacts of society and how the fact that we were all together in this one neighborhood having and not having any resources, not having any schools, nothing but law enforcement, right? Not having the other opportunities that I see with kids in Mercer Island or Bellevue. We just didn't have that. But when we made mistakes, we didn't get second chances. That doesn't happen. I have a friend right now made a mistake. He's in prison, been in prison for 20 years. I just talked to him today. Listen, folks, I'm not talking about stuff I read in a book. I'm not talking about a theory. I'm talking about things I experienced. But this is the crazy thing about it. Now you know my street credentials. You know a little bit about my street credentials. And folks, they're real. I could bring on eyewitnesses that could tell you who I actually am, folks. I really did witness it. But like I said earlier, I have a lot of privilege as well. I have a white mom who provided me access to things. And because of that, folks, when I was 17 and things got hot on the streets and I needed to get out, you know what I did? I called up my white German grandmother. I said, Grandma, I need to get out of here. And I was on a plane to California the next day, because that's what whiteness does for you. That's what privilege and opportunity does for you. See, a lot of kids don't need prison, but they do need an opportunity to get about their circumstances, right? They do need to get about that environment for a moment. They need to find some opportunities, right? I went out to my grandmother, that led to her paying for me to go to college. Folks, I had a 2.0 GPA. Right, I would have. My mom at this time was teaching at some other school. It's like all these things like worked out. So I went to college basically for free. That's privilege. But that's my grandmother grew up in Europe. They went to school for free too, right? They're all social democrats. So they're like, yeah, this is normal. This is what we do, right? So I'm just saying that this thing of privilege and opportunity, man, that's what it takes. That's what we need. That's the reality. I'm not telling it because I know that because of book, right? But look. Long story short, I met this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman, right? Her name's Angeline Mercedes Thomas. She's my wife. We met and married and we moved and we came up here to start law school at Seattle University in 2008, right? We had every single class together in law school together our first year. It was our first year married, our first year in law school and first year in Seattle. It was crazy. Yes, we went to a lot of marriage therapy after that. It was really difficult. We almost didn't make it. I wouldn't recommend that, but it made us stronger some way, somehow. But I had this crazy idea, right? When I got to law school, I met this guy named Craig Sims, who was a prosecutor. He was a Black guy. I never knew that. I didn't even know what a prosecutor was. I'm telling you, folks, I've seen people go to prison, but I never knew what a prosecutor was. We just didn't talk about that, right? That's just, the system is so amorphous. Unless you're really in it, you really don't know about it, right? You really don't, because you don't really know, how does it work? It's kind of meant that way. Unless you've been in it, you won't know it. You just haven't experienced it. Hey, have you ever been to, I travel a lot, right? I travel a bunch of places. I've been to some obscure places like Cambodia and New Zealand, and I spent Philippines, right? I've been to this place, Banaue in the Philippines, right? Who's been there? Nobody, right? I can tell you all about it, but I've never been there before. So it's something to know it and see it and been there, right? To have seen it. And I just hadn't seen it like that before. And I met this guy, Craig. He was a prosecutor. He was Black. He was cool. I wanted to be like him. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go inside and I'm going to work inside the system. I can change things one prosecutor at a time, one case at a time, one difference. That was my tactic, right? I'm like, look at my background. I'll make a difference. So that's what I did. And folks, listen, I'm going to tell you that didn't work. I'm just be honest with you. I didn't work. Let me tell you a story why. Look, about 2 years in, I prosecuted this guy. And this is all public information. You can look it up. This guy's named Stephen Padilla. Prosecuted this dude, right? He was mentally ill. But that was my job. We prosecuted mentally ill people. I'm not going to lie to you. This guy was in court talking to himself, responding to external stimuli. His lawyer saw it. I saw everyone. The judge was there. This was what this dude did. But he was competent to stand trial according to the court. So the case went forward. So I prosecuted. Look, I know I talk a lot right now, but you guys gave me the floor. and I'm gonna sit back and listen when I'm done with talking, okay? I promise. But listen, I prosecuted this guy. I was a good trial attorney. Like, I was pretty good. I wasn't great. I wasn't Perry Mason or anything, but I was like decent, right? I prosecuted this dude. He was found guilty. And it was, look, it was for assaulting a police officer. And this is the crazy thing. This guy actually did assault the police officer, though. He really, really did. I'm not gonna lie to you. He did. Now, he was homeless. He was drunk. He was in Bellevue. This cop encountered him. This dude went crazy and he assaulted him. The question is, why was a police officer contacting him in the first place? Maybe someone else should. Why was he homeless in Bellevue with all that money? I mean, so many questions, right? So yes, but he generally did actually assault this police officer, no doubt. When the cop came on him, and I had eyewitness, independent, non-police officer witness who came in and verified that this guy, yes, in fact, did assault the police officer. But my question I didn't ask it at the time was, well, why was the police officer in the first place? But that wasn't my job, because prosecutors don't ask questions. We just try cases, right? So this guy gets convicted. At that time, I asked for the high end of the sentencing range. Now, this guy didn't have any criminal history, but I asked for as much time as possible because that's what prosecutors do. But this guy had already been in jail. That means he was already in, but he had already been in jail. We're not talking about like years. I'm talking about like months. It was like he was looking at a year and he had already been in a year already, right? And so he was going to get out pretty much right away. So we prosecuted him. He was found guilty. He was convicted. The judge sentenced him. This dude was out like 2 weeks later. Now, he was homeless before he went in. He was mentally ill before he went in. He was homeless. He was housed, I guess, when he was in jail, but he was still mentally ill. He was mentally ill during the trial. When he was released, where do you think he went to? He was homeless and mentally ill. And what do you think happened? This is a true story, folks. You can look this up. Stephen Padilla, Bellevue. I mean, just look it up. This dude went into a Bellevue restaurant. He went to a restaurant. I think it was a Burger King. Look it up, folks. It's a Burger King. It's Padilla, Bellevue restaurant. Some folks can verify it, right? This dude went in there and stabbed someone to death. Just a random person. Stabbed him. No motive, no nothing. Like just out the blue, just stab somebody. This is not like a, I'm not bullshitting you folks. This is real deal. You can look this up. I had this case, and this is the God's honest truth. This is what so every time there's a homicide in King County, there's a unit of prosecutors that handle that. They're called MDOC, the Most Dangerous Offender Program. You probably never even heard of that before. You pay for it though, with your taxes though, right? But you never heard of it before. Most Dangerous Offender Program. Those people from that unit called me and they said, "Hey, Stephen, what happened? You had this guy. You was the last guy that had this case." He's like, "Did you ask for the high end of the sentencing range? Did you ask for the most punishment possible?" That was the question asked me. And I said, "Yeah, of course, that's what we do." Boom, hung up the phone. Now I'm thinking years later, I'm like, wow, they never asked me, did you get this guy a house? What about his mental illness? Hey, listen, I'm not going to put anyone's business out there, but if you have someone who has a genuine mental health issue, a mental illness, they're homeless, they have nothing at all. And then you send them, I mean, we could have predicted that was going to happen, right? We did nothing, folks. This system we have is dangerous. We have the most murders this year. Now, I know it's the pandemic, folks. Everyone's going to blame it on the pandemic. But do you know we have the most murders we've ever had in the last 25 years right now? Do you all know that? Folks, come on. I mean, we have to have a conversation about safety as a Democratic Party. What keeps us safe? Because the system we have right now, I'm telling you, is when people say it's broken, it's broke, but how is it broken though? Where is it broken? Where are the cracks in the seams and why? What's the thinking behind it and what's the strategy to address it? No one's having that nuanced conversation in this debate at the city attorney's office. Are you hearing that debate? No, we're hearing talking points. We're hearing big talking points. I want to move beyond talking points and I want to look. I did the work. I was in those courtrooms. I have witnessed this system. So look, I go on now. Now, when does that happen? I was like, okay, folks, listen, I can't work and this thing is broken, right? I'm devastated because now I'm beginning to really study it too, because I'm really beginning to see not only is it broken, this dude, Stephen, this wasn't a black guy, folks. This is not about racism, people. But then let's talk about racism now, right? Because Stephen Padilla is a white guy, or some sort. He didn't look like, I mean, I don't, maybe he was not a white guy, but he looked like a white guy to me. That's what he looked like. He could have been something else, but who do I know? I didn't ask him that question. But listen, not only is it just, I'm talking about someone who's mentally ill, right? Someone who struggles with that. That's what that case is about. But then let's talk about people who are poor, or racism, or how we treat people with addiction. I mean, come on, so on and so on and so forth, folks. This system's focused on punishment. But as I moved up in the office, I was like, okay, well, maybe you know what? I'm going to start prosecuting domestic violence and sexual assault cases. Because, hey, that's what any woke prosecutor would do, right? If you're a woke prosecutor, at least you got to like stand up for women's rights and like, you know, you got to be the savior, right? That in and of itself is a toxic masculinity notion, right? That we need to like come be the savior as men and come rescue in and like some damsel in distress. Like, isn't that in and of itself a model that needs to be dismantled, right? Would not ask a woman, hey, why don't you tell me what keeps you safe, right? Because listen to this is the kicker. Research this. Who are these prosecutors? The vast majority of them, white men. This is nationally I'm talking about. Elected prosecutors, vast majority of them white men. And look at them, I've been prosecuting. And look at this CrossFed article, right? Google that CrossFed article. Prosecutors in Washington State, they'll let you know how white, you'll see this big picture. Bunch of white prosecutors, white male prosecutors. Look, I have white men in my family. I'm not opposed to white men. But when white men historically have been the ones who've been at the top and have been oppressing people, we got to call that out. I got to call that out, right? Come on. We're Democrats, right? We believe in justice. We're the Justice Party, right? We're the one that's about equality and equity and so on and so forth. At least I thought that's what we were about. At least that's what I heard back in the 80s. And I believe that's who we truly are today too. And so anyway, I fast forward now, right? I did domestic violence. I did sexual assault. Look, there's real cases out there of real harm, folks, right? Women are actually being abused. I've prosecuted people. I've sent people to prison who are absolutely abusive. And I wish I had more tools, but at the time when someone's like absolutely abused, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any other tools. I wish there was more options to prison. But right now, that's all we got. And I tell you, the impact on survivors, that's the thing that broke my heart. Man, can you imagine being a rape victim, coming into court, having to sit down and someone rip your story apart and make you out to be a liar? I've seen that. I've sat in those courtrooms. I've seen that. That's no way to treat somebody. If they're a survivor, we got to find another way, because this is horrible. It's just not working for people, folks. You know that the vast majority of survivors don't call 911. Don't call 911. They don't. It's over 50, I think it's 58% of survivors don't call 911. They'd rather have nothing than what we have. That's the reality. I've seen it firsthand. It just doesn't work. Now, if you're wealthy, I'm telling you, we talk about it at the prosecutors all the time. There's a survivor that's wealthy from Bellevue who gets their way, and they're pushy, right? And they're the ones who make all the fundraisers and the breakfasts and all that kind of stuff, right? That's it. That's it, right? So look, I'm talking about really impacted folks. I'm talking about people who are really marginalized, who don't get a voice, who we don't listen to, who the Democratic Party historically has been in favor of. I mean, that's historically who we've represented. This is the party that partnered with King, right? This is the party, right? I know the history's not all good, right? We know that. But we're talking about the Democratic Party of the future. And I want to tell you folks, there's a movement across the country. And this is what I realized. So after I did the DV cases and domestic violence and sexual assault, Dan Satterberg appointed me to his executive team. I kid you not. This guy, now you come up, now I'm not gonna say I was responsible for it, but you see, when I joined his team, he switched to the Democratic Party. I just want to let you guys know, when I joined his team in 2017, he quickly switched to the Democratic Party. You guys saw that. I'm not saying I'm the sole person responsible for it, but come on. But let's not forget who he was though, right? Let's not forget who he was. And folks, I want to let you know, because I saw someone, I don't pay attention to the chat. So Carla, you got to stop me if I'm talking too long. I'm not even paying attention to the chat. But I did say, someone said that I'm going to run for prosecutor. I want you to know this is not about me running for prosecutor, folks. It's really, really not. It's not a campaign speech, but I do want to influence that election though. And I do want to be a voice. And I do want to help you guys make a informed decision, because while the city attorney's race is important, this county prosecutor's race in 2022, we're talking about abolition, and I don't want to characterize it what it seems like to me. I'm just gonna call it an abolition and go back to the 90s. Those are the choices that I feel like I'm being given right now. Abolition, you can't have that conversation when you're talking about county prosecutors and murders and rapes, child abuse cases. These are serious cases. Shootings. We need to have a real robust response, and we need to have a real robust conversation about justice when it comes to those types of issues. Hey, I can even entertain the issue about abolition when it comes to misdemeanors, because they're a misdemeanor, but we can't talk about abolition when it comes to a murder. Not tomorrow, right? Come on now. That wouldn't really make sense. That really makes sense at all. But I'm telling you folks, that conversation's coming, and is this party ready for it? That's what we're talking about tonight. Are you all ready for it? Do you know the details of it? Will you be ready? Because there's a movement around the country, right? There's a movement around the country to elect what they say, quote unquote, progressive prosecutors. So I joined Dan Satterberg's executive team. He promoted me to build his community initiatives and be his voice for the community, right? He wanted to tokenize me, is what he wanted to do. He wanted to tokenize me. And this is what happens right now. This is a cool thing in Seattle. Hey, this might be an uncomfortable conversation for some white people, and I just want to prepare you for it and say, hey, it's all in love. Remember, I am white, okay? I'm half white. Okay, my mom's white. I love you all. But listen, he tokenized me. He's like, look, we got a good black guy. We can put him out there. He's articulate. He's handsome. He's got a beautiful wife. He's perfect. He's a perfect Negro for us. He didn't know I was from the streets. See, that's what he didn't know. He just didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't know. Right? But he wanted me to be his voice. And I was caught up in it because, I was like, I'm going to be Obama. It's awesome, right? I love Obama. I'm from Chicago. Come on now. I love Obama. Now, look, I'll give you a little secret. This is the fact about my family. So my mom was a political organizer. Fact, check this. For Congressman Bobby Rush. Now, if you're a really great political factoid, you will know who Bobby Rush is. But do you know Bobby Rush's connection to Barack Obama? Does anyone know that? Trivia, throw that in the chat if you know that one, because that's an interesting one. Bobby Rush versus, yes, that's almost for Congress. Yeah, almost, so close. So Bobby Rush is a congressman, long-term, he's a family friend from the South Side. And my mom was one of his political consultants back in the day. And it's the only race that Obama lost. It's the Bobby Rush. I don't know. That's why I'm not friends. That's right. There you go. Obama lost to Rush. That's it. So anyway, I'm on Dan's team. Look, I'm gonna let you in on a secret. This is how we talk sometimes in Black communities, right? I say, I was Dan's Negro. Dan had me out there shucking and jiving and being this guy for him. I was the dude in the community to be a good face for him. And I really thought Dan wanted to do the right thing. And Dan did a lot of great stuff. And he talks a great game for a prosecutor. It's amazing. Even to talk like that as a prosecutor was a big deal. Geez, he's talking about diversion and community connections. And he's he's weird, he's different, but I don't know him, but he's talking good. He's not that bad. I kind of like him, but I don't know him. I don't hate him. That's kind of how they feel about Dan Satterberg. You're like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Most people feel like that about him because you really don't know him. But for the most, Dan did some great stuff. But that doesn't mean that Dan is the guy or he's going to take us there. I don't know. Maybe he can. I don't know. But so far, he hasn't. He still prosecutes kids as adults. He still charged multiple people, wasted 15. I think it's 15. Maybe I'm wrong. Fact check that. He charged 2 people with the death penalty, right? So that's a waste of at least multi-millions of dollars as a county we wasted, right? Survivors still aren't getting the best services that they can. Yeah, they've reduced the number of kids that are going into prison, but they still are sending these Black kids disproportionately to prison time after time again. And just recently, I just talked to a mom who said, her kid Check this out. Her kid went to prison. She got a bill in the mail. A bill in the mail for her kid's incarceration. Never heard that before. Blew my mind. A bill in the mail. That's crazy. So I spent 2 years on Dan's team, and needless to say, Dan and I, we did in his team, we didn't see eye to eye. And so we had to part ways. And yep, got you. So listen, fast forward. I started this fast forward. I mean, you kind of get an understanding of who I am, my credentials. I really, really do know this thing. And so when this race came about, I've been really looking towards this 2022 race and say, hey, man, we got to have a good conversation about this prosecutor's race in 2022. And I'm looking at places like Larry Haskell in Spokane. I mean, this guy, Google this. This guy says race equity should have no business in the criminal justice system. Is that who we want? He's a Republican. He's in Spokane County now. But hey, listen, he holds that much power and sway over Black lives. You guys say Black Lives Matter. I know you guys have those signs out in front of your house. This is how you make that practical, is you care about issues that Black people care about. And Black folks care about these issues around the criminal justice system and the police system. Come on, folks. This has to be something central to us as the party. Remember, come on, Stacey Abrams, man. She came through for us in Georgia, boy. Come on, man. Come on, folks. I mean, when Black folks say we need you right now, right? We're tired. We're tired. We've been going through it for a long time. We're tired of the meetings. We're tired of all this stuff. It's time to get down to business, folks. Real business. And that means that y'all probably gonna have to be uncomfortable. Hear some things you don't want, but come on. We don't want to talk no more. We want real business, right? And that means when we're talking about solving problems around homelessness and drug addiction and police violence and gun violence, let's stop talking about Band-Aids. We got so much money in this city. Why can't we spend that money and build a society that really works? I had a conversation with a friend of mine, maybe about a month ago. The first time I ever talked with a family who actually cared for someone who was mentally ill. And it was the first time I really understood what it takes. What it really takes, folks. It's a full-time job and it takes a lot of resources and it will whoop your butt. And that's what folks out here on these streets need. And that's not what we're talking about right now. I don't hear that conversation. And that bothers me because I've been in the courtrooms. I'm not talking about theories. I've been in the streets. So this PAC. So we started this PAC with the knowledge like, hey, look, we need to bring together these two voices, right? Some folks who have real experience, who've been in courtrooms. I'm not saying these candidates, well, I know Ann has no courtroom experience. Nicole has courtroom experience, which is important, folks. You do need to have that experience now. But neither of them have been prosecutors before. So they don't have that experience. So neither of them have that. But that has to be coupled with people who have really been impacted. So trying to bring people together, folks who have been really who are crime survivors, people who have been formerly incarcerated, people who are currently incarcerated, people who are in what we call street fraternities. These types of people, we're trying to combine that message with this PAC and say, hey, there's a missing voice we feel like that's been in this conversation, right? A missing voice from someone who's done the job, from people who've done the job. I prosecuted some cases before, and people who've really been impacted. And so we're trying to bring them together, folks. And this is what we're trying to do. And maybe someone on this call, and I'm going to end with this pretty soon. One of the things I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to say Nicole, Tom, I'm not going to tell you that. Because I don't know either of them. I've never met them before. I just don't know them. I'd love to meet them. And so what I want to do is the folks of my organization is that we've joined with another organization. We want to host a dinner. It's going to be a small dinner. Not everyone's going to come, but it's going to be a dinner with both these candidates, with impacted people. And we're going to sit at a table. I know this is not politics, folks. This is something different than politics, right? But this is how we did it back in the day. You know what I mean? Like we actually came together to solve problems. And so we want to meet these people. I want to meet them and interact with them, and we want to have a conversation with these candidates. I don't know if they'll come. They may not come, right? They may be too busy, but we want to have an opportunity to connect with them, to meet with them, to interact with them, right? To talk about values around justice. This is not to beat them up or to talk about policy positions, but like, let's talk about things of universality like redemption and reconciliation and justice. And folks, I happen to be an expert, after I left the prosecutor's office, I worked for an organization that trained prosecutors where we would do things like we would take prosecutors to prison, right? So they can meet, interact with folks who are currently incarcerated. We saw prosecutors' minds open up in their understanding of the impact that they have caused as prosecutors. Their minds were opened up to that harm that they caused because they built relationships with people. There's a power in connection. And so we want to bring folks together. I know this is a little bit maybe lovey-dovey and fuzzy, but look, I'm just a spokesperson for community folks, man. They tell me that they move in a different speed than people. You got to understand, some of the people, I just talked with a dude from prison's been in there for 20 years. My mentor, he spent almost 30 years in prison. So when I'm telling you folks, they live at a different speed than this world that we live in right now. And they tell me that the speed and pace with which we live, man, it's not normal. And so I'm trying to slow things down a little bit. I'm trying not to mudsling on Twitter. And I'm trying to settle back and say, hey, can I get to know you two people? Have a conversation with you. And then maybe we'll see which one jives with the values of my values that my parents taught you, the values I think that this party shares. Maybe I'll have a little bit, and maybe I'll be able to ask further questions. But hey, whoever is the prosecutor, Nicole or Ann, they're going to need our help to run this city, right? And we got to be willing to step up. And we can't do it. We got to do it from a place of relationship. At least that's what Jesse Jackson and them folks taught me in the Rainbow Coalition. We got to do it together. So anyway, I'm going to end. Folks, you can find me. Why don't you reach out to me? I'd love to have a conversation. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to try to listen. Thank you so much. My organization, you can look us up. It's Prosecutors Accountable to the People. The website is PATWA. There you go, .com. Thank you. You can look us up. I want to have more information on it. It's not like we just filmed like a kickoff. I can get that information out to you. I don't want it to be a mystery. This is not one of those PACs that's trying to be mysterious. Look, folks, we need money. I mean, we got to build an infrastructure. You know what I mean? And so we have to, we're doing this as a volunteer basis. You know what I mean? And so we need help. So yeah, it's not that we're trying to hide things, but we wanted to get that we're about a platform. We're not about individuals. We're about issues that are near and dear to our heart around, redefining success as a prosecutor. For far too long, when I was told that the success meant winning cases, ending cash bail. Look, if you're poor and you get locked up, like you're in jail because you're poor, and then you're more likely to plead guilty to get out. That's just a fact. Rich people just don't have that issue. That's discrimination. I mean, you could say we need to have it because there's dangerous people. Okay, well, look. Okay, but let's recognize it's discriminatory against poor people. This is the party. I thought we were the party of the poor. That's what my parents told me. That's what Jesse Jackson told me. That's what I was told as a kid. So these are poor people. Okay, look, children being charged as adults, right? Come on, folks. I could have been charged as an adult when I was a kid. My friends been charged as adults. You got to meet somebody. I got a friend named Willard Jimerson. This guy was charged as adult at 13 years old. 13. He spent 25 years in prison. I mean, folks, come on. Some of these kids are going to prison for 40 years. I mean, look, I'm not saying you let the guy out. That's not what I'm talking about, folks. But we got to have look, they're children. And we can't continue to prosecute children as adults. That's just not when they are primarily Black children in the area of Black Lives Matter, not when we know that charging children as adults, that there's no science behind it, right? It's a political decision. And folks, the Democratic Party, we supported it. We just did. We supported it. So, I mean, in the 90s, we supported it. That's what I'm saying. In the 90s, we just did. The party did. You know, Clinton did. I mean, I'm sure my parents probably were like, yeah, I mean, everyone did. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Oh, you should look at the chat. You've got a lot of, you've inspired a lot of people. Thank you for being with us this evening. Very good. Glad you got on just in time too. That was excellent. All right. Fantastic. Let me see where I am. Okay. So I am going to edit this video down to just have this. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with me posting that? Okay. All right. Fantastic. I do want to post this specifically, so I will definitely do that this week, as long as schedules permit. But it will be up by the weekend for future reference, and then also for folks who haven't been able to join us tonight. I am going to go back to sharing my screen and finish up with our business. All right, as I noted at the top of the evening, we do have a couple of things that we need to get done at the end here. One is the new piece of business. I'm sharing on my screen. If you remember, we spent most of our budget on the campaign contributions back in August, leaving a small reserve. Well, here we are in October, and we need to determine as a body how we want to handle the remaining funds. We have a total of $500 in the line item left. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to spend it, but you know, this is a big piece of what we do. So now would be the time if we decide to go forward and spend this final budget. The executive board has made a recommendation, which you will see on the screen, and I am ready to hear motions from the floor for how we spend the remaining budget.
Carla?
Hi, Chris.
Hi. I move that we disperse the $500 in recommendations of the e-board, that is $100 to each of the stated candidates and Highline school levy as presented.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. We have a motion. Who was that?
Second.
Ann.
You got to say your name, folks. Can't.
I did. I seconded it, Ann Martin.
Okay. Other people were talking over you, so it was hard to tell. Okay, so Chris is making the motion and Ann has seconded to spend our $500. As you see on screen, $100 each to Brandon Hersey, which is school board position 7 for Seattle. Sorry, I didn't write that down. Hugo Garcia, Sarah Moore, Crystal Marks, our 3 Burien candidates who are most in need for funds, another $100 for them. And then also Highline School Board levy that we heard about last month as well, $100. Is there any discussion? Would you like to speak to the motion, Chris?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I'll go from the bottom up. Highline school levies have proven to be over time difficult to pass, yet the crumbling schools in Highline says that our children are not getting the best that they can. When my husband, who's an architect, replaced Auburn's elementary school in our district, woo, bless you, the children reported that the old school looked and felt like a prison. And I know that we can do better. So any efforts we can do to get that school levy to pass, we should. Again, all the work over these years that we've done to have this shift in tide in Burien cannot be wiped away. So any and all support that we can give those candidates to keep the blue tide going in Burien, we must. Not we should, we must. And of course, I thought Brandon is an excellent candidate for the school board. So for those reasons, I say we should move forward and support this.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Is there anyone that would like to speak against this recommendation and motion? Or perhaps make an amendment? All right. Hearing nothing, anyone have amendments or wanting to speak against? All right, I see no hands, so fantastic. Speeches are closed. As long as there's no opposition from anyone, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed, please say nay. Okay, all right, guys have it, and I will get these contributions made tomorrow. Thanks everyone for that, and I'm sure the candidates and folks from the levy will be appreciative. I want to, so two more things. Wanted to bring everyone up to speed on the process of redistricting. This is a pretty painful process. There's really no good outcome, I'm afraid. We had a super helpful program back in August that taught me a lot about how this all works. If you didn't see that, we do have, we have a link in the chat taking you over to the Washington redistricting site, which is actually pretty good. A lot of good information on there. So visit that for some light reading. Thanks, Sarah, for putting that in the chat. Also want to thank the members who testified for our district and many others who submitted written testimony. Definitely very helpful and I'm sure recognized, and specifically want to call out Bunny, who's really taken this out kind of as a special project. So I want to hand it off to Bunny to give a few top line details. Bunny?
Went to both during the past week. The Washington State Redistricting Commission was collecting more public comment on the maps that they released in late September. And the maps were provided by 4 commissioners, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. April Sims, the House Democratic Caucus appointee. Paul Graves, the House Republican Caucus appointee. Brady Walkinshaw, the State Democratic Caucus appointee. And Joe Thane, the Senate Republican Caucus appointee. And now, despite the pandemic-related delays of 4 extra months in receiving the 2020 census data, the commission still had to meet the normal redistricting deadlines and attempt to produce 49 new LDs, and each containing approximately 157,000 people, and 10 congressional districts of about 771,000 people. These districts ideally should be compact and contiguous, avoid splitting cities, counties, or community of interest, and ensure that the voting power of communities of color is not diluted. So on October 5th, at the hearing on the legislative district maps, 8 members of the 34th LD offered testimony. Let me see if I can, it's Art Chippendale, Brunsma, Nick Bonanza, Roxanne Thayer, Marge Lofstrom. There were 8 of us all together, and I wrote down who they were.
But
anyway,
Bunny,
yes.
I'm having a difficult time hearing you at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is my sound down too low?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. Is that helpful?
Yes.
Okay. On October 5th at the hearing, 8 members of the 34th offered testimony. Most of it was, in fact, centered on opposing redistricting Vashon to the 26th LD, or bisecting West Seattle, or removing various sections of Burien from the 34th. The various maps have the 34th LD losing different parts of Burien and gaining all or part of Sodo, Georgetown, South Park, Pioneer Square, Glendale, or Bryn Mawr. People from approximately 22 of the state's 49 legislative districts testified. And statewide, across the board, the April Sims map was deemed the best at meeting the stated criteria, while the Graves map was most criticized for failing on almost all fronts. Then on Saturday, October 9th, the commission met again to hear public comment on the new congressional district boundary proposed by the 4 commissioners' maps. At this time, all 10 congressional districts were represented by those testifying, including 3 from the 7. Unfortunately, all maps moved Burien completely out of the 7th to the 9th congressional district, with the exception of the Graves map, which moves it to the 10th, where it joins Lakewood, University Place, and Tacoma. All except Sims also moved White Center and Highline along with Burien. Eastern Washington was well represented at this hearing, and there was much discussion of the unwieldiness of the 4th and 5th congressional districts, which stretch from the Oregon to Canadian borders. Even among the conservative Republican congressional districts, the Walkinshaw map was a heavy favorite in terms of meeting the stated criteria. Graves was again criticized for extreme gerrymandering. He was also condemned as disingenuous and dishonest for his claim to create 2 majority BIPOC districts, as these do not actually contain a majority of voting age citizen residents of color and actually serve to dilute those voices. Following these hearings, commissioners have until the 15th of November to reconcile their divergent maps and present the recommendation to the state legislature for adoption or rejection. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be a bumpy ride. And I think Carla is going to get to be the Cassandra, the bearer of all the bad news tonight.
Thank you, Bunny. I appreciate all your time and effort that you've spent on this important topic. The last milestone in that, in what Bunny was recording, it is really, and actually, oh, sorry, my bad. Thought I had another slide. The last milestone is actually January 1st, literally a couple of months away, when these new approved maps will take effect. This is going to result in some chaos, and I'm not looking forward to it. We're going to lose some members. We're going to lose board members. We're going to lose PCOs and friends. Not that they're lost, but they will no longer be in the 34th. So let's hope it is just as minimal as possible. This will be an agenda item in our January meeting, and we'll give a lot more detail about the effects of the final maps then. So stay tuned to the weekly emails. And also feel free, if you're interested, to join the redistricting channel on our Slack channel if you are involved in a Slack user. Last, but certainly not least, we did have earlier this year a resignation when Richard O'Neill moved out of the district. This left the King County Dems Central Committee alternate representative open. And we have worked all summer to publicize that and, beg people to jump in and take on this position. And we, Rachel, actually, who's like my best recruiter, she convinced someone really awesome to take this on. So I'd like to ask for a motion to nominate someone awesome for this position. Do we have a motion?
Carla, I happily nominate Aaron Garcia as the replacement for the KCDCC alternate position.
Thank you, Rachel. Do we have a second?
Second, Nick Bonazza. I second the nomination.
Thank you, Nick. All right, great. Are there any other motions for nomination from the floor? Any other nomination? All right. Close the nominations. Rachel, if you would like to speak on behalf of your motion and or send the mic over to Aaron to say some words, that would be fine as well.
I have a few words, and I will be happy to cede to Aaron. I am just absolutely impressed and excited and inspired by the work that Aaron has done over the years that I have known about him. He is extremely dedicated and gets the job done. And so with that, I want to hand the mic over to Aaron.
Thank you, Rachel and Nick. And thank you, 34th Dems. This isn't the first time you have thrown your support behind me. So I'm happy to be your District 1 representative on the school board of Highline School Board of Directors. You've also supported my family by supporting my older brother who is running for Burien City Council. And he just texted me thanking you all for the $100. He really appreciates that. It's going to come down to the wire. He loves the support, the love that everyone's committing to his campaign. He's actually at the Planning Commission doing the work right now, and that's why he couldn't be here. But he wanted to send some love and thank you. Yeah, I'm just excited to be here, represent, learn more, and how to make sure that we can stay blue, stay progressive in our area. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much. All right. Are there any speeches against this nomination? Any speeches against? Okay, well, fantastic. I will then say that, again, we have no opposition, so I'd like to do a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Awesome. All right, anyone saying nay to Aaron Garcia on our executive board? Okay, fantastic. Welcome, Aaron, to the executive board. I secretly put this on the end of the agenda to see if you'd stick it out. So thank you for staying with us, and I'm really delighted to have you join the board. I know you will bring your ideas and energy and all that awesome Garcia passion in, and really looking forward to working with you. So we are right about time. Do we have any good of the order? Anyone with good of the order?
Yes, I have something, Carla.
Go right ahead, Colleen.
All right. I just wanted to put out a call for volunteers. This is Annie Phillips's gig in Burien. For the past couple of years, on the eve of every election, she has organized a group of volunteers to stand and wave signs just saying vote, V-O-T-E, at the corner of 148th and First Avenue South, which is kind of the entrance to Burien from Highway 518. And I think we have enough volunteers for that corner, but I would like to start a second corner at 160th and First Avenue, which is right by that Five Corners Trader Joe's kind of huge intersection. It's also an exit from 509 and it's quite busy. And this would be from 4:30 p.m. till 6 p.m. or if it's a really crappy evening, we'll just do 1 hour. But I would love to have any volunteers that are willing to come to Burien and just get out that last vote on the eve of the election. It should be super fun, just people honking and hurling abuse or whatever they do. We'll take it all. So I will put my email in the chat here, and if anybody wants to join me, I would welcome that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Colleen. Bunny, did you have something?
Yes, I do. Not only did Richard leave a vacancy on the e-board, he was the co-chair of our Resolutions and Endorsements Committee. And I'm getting really lonely. Marcy abandoned me for DC. Les got too busy and had to resign. I don't know, maybe it's me. Anyway, we really do need a couple of volunteer committee members on the Resolutions and Endorsements Committee. And this is a perfect time to join because the heavy lifting of the endorsement stuff is done for right now, and it won't get really bad again until next spring. So I'm going to put my email in the chat. And if you're interested in serving on the committee for endorsements and resolutions, please email me and let me know. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Fantastic. Thanks, Bunny. How about Katie?
Yeah, so I wanted to let people know that the Seattle MLK celebration is going to be happening. So there will be a march and rally, and we are going to have community workshops. We're going to do a hybrid model this time where we have virtual workshops and in-person workshops. So I am soliciting ideas for the workshops, and I'm going to stick my email address in the chat in case anybody would like to get in touch with me about possibly presenting themselves or with suggestions for presenters. So I've just put it in the chat, and I'll keep you updated.
Cool, thanks, Katie. And I have a suggestion, Stephen Thomas. No, I'm just kidding. All right, thank you. Next up, oh, Randy, you can go ahead and make your announcement because I have that on my list to do. Go right ahead.
Okay, hi, Randy Lutzenberger, and I was pleased to be invited by both Carla and Rachel here recently to serve as kind of our intro speaker for next month's meeting on November 10. So the working title right now is Climate 101, Finding Hope and Good Policy as we Fight for a Better Future. So I'm excited to be part of the events, and thanks for the opportunity. I'm co-chair with Andy Phillips of the Environment, Energy, and Land Use Caucus. We have our monthly meeting coming up in November, and I'll speak to that a little bit then too. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Randy. You and Annie are like the model of caucuses. So you continue to be so impressive. Thank you. And thanks for being with us next month. And Rachel,
And thank you, Madam Chair.
Rachel, you have your hand up?
I do. I have a good of the order also. This is kind of piggybacking on Colleen's announcement. There is a sign waving where you also can hold up a VOTE vote sign that happens every Tuesday at the corner of 16th and Holden, and it has been it was sponsored by my organization Hate Free Delridge. So there's people who hold up signs that say Black Lives Matter, but also voting is really important to be a good ally to communities of color. So if you want to come out every Tuesday, we meet from 4:30 to 6, and I will put my information in the chat. We would love to have you there. If you want to just hold up a sign that says vote, we don't even have to talk about any specific candidates, just vote. That is just fine. And it's in West Seattle, right by the fire station and the 7-Eleven there. So if any West Seattle folks want to do some shouting out to help get out the vote, that would be great. And we would love to have you.
Awesome.
Sorry. Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Rachel, which fire station by 7-Eleven?
Yeah, on 16th and Holden. So it's on 16th, like right when you're coming off from Highland Park Drive there.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Elizabeth. Thanks, Rachel.
You bet.
Hi, let me get my mic on. Okay, my mic is on. Okay, I'd like to invite everyone to a virtual presentation on trees in Seattle. And this is part of the West Seattle Democratic Women's schedule of events. It will be virtual on the 28th of this month. And the speakers will start around 12:15. Our meeting starts at 12. And there are two people, Martha Baskin and Steve Zemke. You may know Steve because I think he presented ordinances relating to trees at the 34th some years ago. Ann Martin told me about him.
Yep.
And they are both passionate about the role of trees. And we discovered there's a social justice connection with that issue. And that is the tree canopy in the neighborhoods that are predominantly peopled by people of color are thinner than the ones in the white neighborhoods. And when the heat dome came, it mattered because trees help shade and cool down a neighborhood. So there's a social justice connection, but there's much, much more to learn about why trees are important in our city. So if you are interested, Mary, you can email Mary Fisher, that's our president, Mary Fisher 1 at comcast.net and say you'd like to join to hear this presentation, ask questions, and she will send you the Zoom link. Thanks.
Awesome. And I am putting that in the chat right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was like the best good of the order we've had in like a year. I'm just going to say that. Bring your good of the order. All right, wonderful. I think that's everything. Thank everybody. Thank you everyone for coming, for attending, and appreciate you listening to my rant. Have a great evening, and you know, get out there and support however you can. I appreciate you all. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good
Good night.
Night.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good night.
Night.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
We appreciate you, Carla.
Yes, we do.
Oh, thank you.
Good job.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.